had a pretty darn good upbringing. I got a lot of love in my family, great parents. And I know that not a lot of people have that. And so it's interesting because I think about that, like, if I, with that type of upbringing, and I still have my challenges with self-love and self-belief and all that, imagine what everyone else is going through. So that's where this comes from, is like really wanting to help people really see themselves and acknowledge themselves and remind them of how special and great they are, because we all lose sight of it. Especially, I think that the harder your upbringing was, the harder it is to really see that person.
I agree. And science confirms that. That's where I always go back to, because we feel it, we know it, but sometimes logically it's hard for us to say, why do I feel this way? And scientifically, we've proven that there's a negative brain bias. We learn and retain far more from negativity than we do positivity, because we were, at one point in time, struggling for our lives. And so we needed that. Now we don't need to do that, but we haven't let go of that brain bias. So we have to actually mentally pay attention and reprogram our brains with a positive brain bias. And that's where all of these mindfulness approaches, and we have to really focus in order to do that. But it is possible. And tools like what you're creating are the very thing that can help us move from that innate, instinctual negative brain bias to a more positive, connected, uplifting, positive brain bias. And so what you're creating absolutely can change and make a huge difference in the entire human collective, I would say.
Yeah.
Even from a scientific standpoint.
Yeah. And that it's interesting because that's kind of where it stemmed, where it came from. I'm not a neuroscientist by any means, but I follow this guy, Andrew Huberman, and he talked about gratitude and what's based on neuroscience. What is the best gratitude practice? And he said that it's hearing gratitude towards you consistently, instead of just like, oh, I'm grateful for my, like, hearing other people say. That's basically what he said. So I was like, okay, well, let's throw some voice notes in from other people. And that's where that came from. And then I was like, I took it to a next step. I was like, okay, that's a gratitude practice. I would imagine it helps and works with belief levels too. So hearing other people say why they believe in you can help you get to that point where you start believing in yourself more. I even listened to a podcast yesterday, it was, and a guy named Russ, a music artist, very popular these days, and he talked about why it's so important to have at least one person in your life that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. Sometimes we need that. A lot of times.
A lot of times. Need someone there, yeah. We all need a cheerleader.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's very important. So if someone was interested in this tool, how do they find it? How do they get a hold of you? How can they engage in this type of a vision video?
Yeah. Probably the best thing is just go to our website, justgrowvisions.com. It's pretty proud that we put that together, because this was like the first time, like, even in the last few months, I feel like I've just been like pushing my comfort zone so much for the first time, because I know how to build like websites and funnels and stuff like that, but for the first time I'm like, all right, time to like step up and act like a real business owner and CEO. And I hired someone to do it, and so she did an amazing job, and she just put together this incredible video or just webpage. So we have like all the information on there. And what's cool too, and this is why I'm really grateful for all the people that are in my life that just see the vision of this and support it. Because like one of my clients, he recorded a 40-minute video explaining why these are so powerful from a scientific level, talking about beliefs, paradigms, thoughts, like everything that goes into changing your neural pathways. And so we put that on the page as well, because I think it's really important to understand why this is powerful. Because it's interesting, like some people see it and they're like, okay, that's cool, but like I'm not there yet. I don't have all those things. And so really doing my best to like communicate to people, like no matter where you're at, like this can truly help. And what I've found too is that, it's a lot of with the actual things that you want to achieve and become. What's really powerful is just setting that intention. Like sometimes you don't even necessarily need to remind yourself of it every day, but just the fact that you do set the intention. Like one of our clients, he said he wanted to attract in a mentor, and he never really got clear about that. But then, in a matter of a month, came right in. And I think that's powerful things. Like just decide on what the things that you want, build yourself up, and then just decide on things that you want. Because I think that this has been something I've really thought on, is that, people will say, well, I'm not getting what I want because I don't know what I want. And I think that's a cop out. And I'm not pointing any fingers because that was me. But it's like, it's easy to say that. Oh, I don't know. I'm not getting that because I don't know. Well, why don't we decide? What do you want? And then if that is, when you get that, it's not what you want, then okay, let's change it. But at least decide and make a decision and make the intention that you're going to do it.
That's exactly it. You can choose again.
Yeah, it's not a life sentence.
Exactly. It's like going to the grocery store. Fine. Like, choose one meal to make, and if you don't like it, you make it, you don't like it, you can go back to the grocery store and pick something else,
And that's what us silly humans, like we build up these things so much in our heads thinking that like it's so serious, but like when we actually get those thoughts out and like kind of talk about it and express, and that's again why I love doing the podcasting, because like the things that I'm like freaking out about in my mind, and I just start talking about them and I just realize how ridiculous I am.
Yeah. And we put more pressure on ourselves than I feel anyone outside of ourselves
So much
ever puts on us. Not always. There are individuals who are in social circles or families or others that there's a lot of pressure. So I don't desire to generalize because I've met some individuals. But all in all, most of us are in a position where we put the most pressure on ourselves. And then that goes back to that self-love again. Like self-compassion is such a big practice. So if you need an entry point for a video like this, I want self-compassion could be your place to start.
Yeah.
Like if you have to have one thing, then self-love and self-compassion can be the thing that you make your vision video on. What would that look like? How do you obtain that? Because there has to be a barrier to entry if you can't think of a single thing that you want.